this is depressing. It's November 21st. I'm at our marina. Our boat's in storage for the winter. And it's raining. Well, it's always nice to get back in your boat after it's been put in storage and find there are no surprises on the bottom side of the boat. No big chunks of paint missing, no gashes, no nicks or dings in your props. Your anodes are all in good shape and everything like that. So, well, decent shape after one season at least. They're not disintegrated. So that's always a good sign. I guess next thing we'll get into is that radio. I guess you could say, in a sense, this video is sponsored by me. And I'll get into that in a little bit here when we start talking about the radio, how I got rid of the old Clarion XMD1 or XMD3, I believe, with the 6-disc CD changer, no Bluetooth, AM, FM. So I don't know about you guys, but I like being in the 21st century. I like Bluetooth. I don't miss CDs. I don't miss cassettes. I'm too young to remember 8-tracks. So with all these newer radios being a lot smaller than these bigger, older radios from 20 or so years ago, how do you fit that small radio into this big opening? All right. This is the Fusion MS RA70NSX series radio, and this particular radio comes with everything you'd expect in a modern radio. Bluetooth, AM, FM, USB, aux input, Sirius satellite radio, and this radio also comes with NEMA 2000, so if you want to hook it into a compatible chart plotter or a wired remote. I bought the radio that had that just in case I want to do that later on down the line. It wasn't that much more expensive, and I'd rather have it and not need it than want it and have to upgrade the radio again, so that's why I went ahead and purchased it. But I do have the Sirius on it with the Sirius Tuner. And I'll show you here in a little bit where I ran the Sirius antenna. That's going to be one of the biggest things for the Sirius Tuner, is where you're going to put that satellite antenna to where you're going to get good reception. You can't just put it in the cabin because obviously it's not going to get reception through the cabin walls. So I really like the radio so far. I've had it for an entire season and then part of the prior season, and so far I have no complaints. It works well. It's got an iPhone and Android app, so you can Bluetooth to it and control it from your phone. So maybe you're out in the water off the stern of your boat on a beach somewhere and you've got your phone with you, you can change the station without having to climb back on your boat. Alright, now that we got the screws taken off, I'm going to get in here and show you guys how I installed this radio. So the big piece here is this adapter plate, bracket, whatever you want to call it. This is what made this happen. This is what made this small radio fit into that larger opening. If anybody would like to see a more in-depth overview of this radio understand what all the cables on the back of it do, how to hook everything up, I'd be more than happy to make a video about that if you guys would be interested in seeing that. If so, let me know in the comments. I'll go more in depth than that, but I don't want to get into that too much in this video. Alright, now I've got it out. You can see how small this radio is. There's really not a lot to it. There's no internal guts for the CD player or anything like that, so they're able to make them a lot smaller, which in turn creates the problem of how do you fit this smaller radio into the opening that was cut out in the factory for the older, much bigger radios that a lot of these older boats have. Full disclosure here, this bracket, I actually make this bracket, so if you end up buying this bracket, I am making money off of this. So in a sense, I guess you could say this is a sponsored video. So if you found this video useful, other than liking and subscribing, and you want to help out, go ahead and buy my bracket. I'll put links in the description. You can buy it on Amazon and eBay. I make them all out of my own house. You can see around the backside you've got the 4 holes on the exterior. Those were the holes where the original radio went in at, and you could see the screws coming through the side from the new radio, so you can see they obviously don't line up. So that's the problem that this bracket intends to this bracket is intended to solve. It covers up the opening and it allows you to use the screws for the new radio. These holes for the new radio are too close together to fit into that opening, so you do still need to use the factory drilled holes. Alright, you can see here the factory drilled holes. They aren't very squared, and in my experience in other Sea Ray boats, that's how they pretty much all are. They kind of just slap them in there, even though they don't perfectly match the opening and aren't squared up with the whole board in there. One other thing I do want to go over real quick while I'm still thinking about it, because I think this will help out a lot of people solve a couple of problems that they have. It's not easy to run a new remote cable for this radio from the radio over to the helm. It's probably honestly a huge pain in the ass, and why do it if you don't have to? So luckily I figured out a way to replace the old remote for the old Clarion radio with a remote for this radio that is a hell of a lot easier. It's more cost effective, and the installation took, I don't know, about 3 minutes. It took longer to get the damn thing out of the box than it did to actually install it. So let's go take a look. Alright, so here is the new remote. This is also a Fusion remote. It's completely wireless. It's powered by a watch battery, and it Bluetooths to the radio. Now you might be thinking, well, that's a pain in the ass if you've got to pair it with the radio all the time. However, it just stays paired to the radio all the time. I've never had to repair it. I've never had a problem with it connecting to the radio. If you didn't know that it wasn't hardwired into the radio, you wouldn't even realize that it was completely wireless and Bluetooth. This is what I did with the Sirius antenna. Now some of you may know, and you may be thinking, well, that antenna has a magnet in it, and you've got it right next to your compass. So those of you who know anything about compasses, you know that the magnet can and will interfere with your compass. I did a lot of testing to determine that where the antenna is placed there isn't interfering with the compass. Not that, honestly, I don't think I've ever really even used my compass on the boat. Where I boat, I pretty much know what direction I'm going, where I'm going, unless I got caught in a monsoon, I suppose, in which case I normally have my chart plotter. But anyway, if anyone is concerned about it, at least in my experience so far, the magnet in the Sirius antenna does not interfere with the compass heading. And it has a clear view of the sky here, so it will get reception. I don't have issues with it cutting out or anything like that, so it was semi-easy to get that cable ran over there. I had to disassemble some parts of the boat, but I'd rather disassemble some parts of the boat than have to drill holes in fiberglass, so I went with this route. Like I said earlier, you can get the Bluetooth app on your phone, which is really nice. But a lot of times when you're driving the boat, you're focused on driving. You know, it's like driving a car. You want to pay attention to the water, especially if you're in a congested area, and you don't need to be fumbling around with your phone any more than you probably already are. So for the cost of this little remote, it's a hell of a lot easier than hardwiring in a different remote or pulling up the app on your phone every time you want to change the radio, change the station, turn up the volume, or anything like that. You can hit the volume buttons on this radio. It's got a skip, or if you're on the radio, it goes to the next station. It's got a pause button, and then it's also got a source button to change your source. So, like I said, if you guys want to know more about the remote and you want to know more about the radio, let me know. I'll make a separate video for those. Fusion makes 3 separate iterations of this radio. The radio that I have has everything they offer in this radio, which includes Sirius and the NEMA 2000. The version down includes Sirius but no NEMA 2000, and then they make a version that doesn't have Sirius at all or NEMA 2000 at all. If you don't need either of those, you can save yourself some money. I also make brackets for several other Fusion series radios, different families of Fusion radios, and if there's a radio you've got and I don't make a bracket for it, let me know and I might be able to make something work for you. I may need you to get me some dimensions to custom make whatever it is that you need, but I'm definitely at least interested and willing to hear you out to see if I could potentially do one of those for you. I'll put links in the description below to my eBay page and to the Amazon listings for all of the different brackets that I make. Right now I mostly make them in white and black. I've made some in silver, but most people either just want white or black, but honestly I could do, within reason, any color that you could think of, but typically white and black tend to fit most people's needs. Full disclosure, these brackets are 3D printed, so they're not perfectly smooth as if like they were made out of some sort of acrylic or plexiglass. If you look closely enough at them, you can see kind of the texture that the 3D printing process leaves behind. Some people don't like that, but I think for the majority of people it's not that big of a deal. Especially for us cabin cruisers, your radio's down in the cabin of your boat, inside your breaker panel, and for the most part, most of your guests and nobody aren't going to see it. So for what it would cost to have something else done, or to have somebody make some out of starboard or something way more expensive, it just doesn't make sense. I can make one and sell one for a hell of a lot cheaper out of PLA plastic, which is what my 3D printers is. I can also make them out of ABS, but I haven't found a need to make it out of ABS, and ABS tends to be more difficult to work with. If you found this video useful, guys, please like and subscribe. It really does help out a lot. Check out my other videos. Check out the radio bracket if you're interested in changing out the radio for your boat. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments section. I will read all of them and reply to any of them. So if anybody has any other questions, anything I didn't cover, anything you'd like to see in a different video, please let me know. Thanks for checking this video out, and I hope you guys can all maintain your sanity throughout winter. I know it's a struggle to not be out on the water, but we'll get through it. Thanks.